Okay, now that we have groomed our horse and it's all nice and clean and changed colours because this is Millie.
That's how good you groomed her.
That's how I groomed her. It's like she was so dirty.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you have your all-purpose saddlecloth here. You can tell that the front part is the one that scoops up a little bit. And usually the logo will start, the name of the logo will point towards the front as well. Yeah? So, some of them also do have little keepers on the front. That's how you also know it's the front. Has a nice spine that runs down the middle of the horse's back. You want to check it before you put it on the horse, make sure there's no grass or sharp bits in there that could be uncomfortable. All we do is place it on so that the seam of the saddle cloth runs down the middle of her back along her spine, just like this.
Yep.
Super
On top
easy.
of the wither.
Yeah, on top of the wither. And if you have to adjust then and move the saddle back to make it fit, then you're smoothing hairs the right way. Good girl. Okay, this bit. Saddle. So we keep our saddles all tucked up. The girth stays on, stirrups are always run up. You've got the front and the back, the pommel and the cantle, but front bit looks like this, back bit is where your butt goes. Very simple. So when we want to put it on the horse, we want to make sure everything's tucked up so that nothing's going to slap around and hit them in the belly and be uncomfortable for them. You want to make it nice. So you're going to stay nice and close. Saddlecloth's good. I like to put my right hand underneath, my left hand on the left side of there, and lift it up and gently place it down onto her back. Once I have it like this, I have a quick look here, make sure things are flat, and I grab the saddle cloth and pull it up into this cavity. The reason why I do this a couple of times is because it's very important, because if you don't do this step, and once you've tightened everything and this is pulled down on her wither, how it's sitting now, when you sit in the saddle, it's very uncomfortable for any horse and they could buck. So always tuck your saddle cloth up into that cavity so they've got lots of room like this. Then we're going to go to the other side. And as you can see, our girth's flipped over, so we need to bring that down. So just bring it down nice and easy and lay it nice and flat. Again, checking that there's no twists or turns on your straps and everything's done up. It hasn't come undone since last time. Everything's all good there. I also like to pull this up on this side because I'm anal retentive and it's even. And then we can go back to the other side and drop the girth. Okay.
And how do we know that the saddle's sitting in the right spot on the horse's back?
I'm about to get to that part here.
Okay.
So how I like to check is by running my hand. You can feel the curve of the shoulder. You don't want your saddle too far forward because if it's too far forward, it limits their range of movement in the front. So it needs to sit behind their shoulder blade and you can feel the curve of that. So this is a little bit too far forward, just a smidge. I'm just going to bring it back a little bit by a little wiggle. Again, checking. And now that sits free, so her shoulders have really got a lot of room to move. So you can just feel the curve from the wither and around. That's just behind it. Once that's all done, we reach underneath her belly, give it a little pat, and lean forward and bring the girth under. Now, if your girth has a keeper like this, you want to start at the back and slide it through the material keeper first. And this is the part that you sort of need to pay attention to. On your girth buckle, you'll see these little rollers. They're to help leverage the girth up and get it as tight as you need it to be easily. You don't want to get it caught through this one because trying to get it undone could be a bit tricky. If you can't get undone, you'll have to cut your girth and you don't want to do that. So always remember, make the noise. It's got to go through the one with the roller. So we're going to slide it through there, push it up, and then just gently till I feel a bit of tension and get the clip and pop it, the pin I should say, and pop it through the hole. Once that one's done, do the same with the other, through the girth keeper, through this one that has a roller, pull it up till I feel some tension and do it up. Now you'll have to do this step maybe 1 to 2 more times because they will suck their tummy in, blow their tummy out I should say, and fill it with air. And then once they relax, that will loosen off. So you have to check your girth a couple of times during the process.
Especially before you get on.
Especially before you go on. That's the last thing you should do before you put your foot in the stirrup, is check that your girth is nice and tight. So
when you do check your girth as well, you want to make sure that the holes are even. You've got 4 holes on this side on the back strap, and then 4 holes on the front strap, and then ideally you want to have even on both sides of the girth on either side of the horse. So sometimes, especially when they bloat their belly out, you might only get it up to 4 holes on this side, but hopefully when you do it up, the number of holes on both sides of the horse will be even. So say 6 on the right side and 6 on the left side. That just helps to create even tension and keep the saddle in place. Okay?
So in the meantime, while you give them time to
Relax.
And so we can go back to the girth, we can now pop our bridle on. Okay, so while she's tied like this, what I'm going to do first is just get my reins and place them over her neck, so that way she's still caught, because now it's time to remove the halter. So we simply undo that knot, and remember, if it's too tight, you can always push that loop. If you've done it up properly, it'll be nice and easy. And we undo that bit. And then when you pop it down through the bridle, just make sure it's not in the way, so just stand it up. Alright, now, Millie's a very good girl for this. You just want to make sure when you do your bridle that you've got your noseband and everything sitting to the inside. And if you do have a flash, that the flash part's at the front. So all you need to do is, I'll try and turn it to the side so you can see where my hand goes in her mouth, but she's very good, is just grab the bit. This is how I put my hand. So my pinky and my thumb are on the top, and my 3 fingers are underneath to support it. Everything's nice in the right spot, otherwise it'll look a bit funny. The reins will be all twisted if you don't have it right. Make sure everything's straight. Hands like this, you can see her lips already. You can see that's how we'll go. And then if we go to the other side, Erin, so I'll put my thumb in her mouth. So remember guys, if you've got a horse that doesn't open their mouth straight away, you need to just gently place your thumb in their mouth here. That's the bar of their mouth. There's no teeth there, okay? So you're not going to get bitten. It's a very easy process with Millie, good girl.
So as you put the bit in the mouth, make sure you pull the headpiece up, so that way it doesn't drop back down and knock her in the teeth, because if you knock them in the teeth, they will get a fright and they'll put their head in the air, and then they probably won't want their bridle to go on again. So really important you don't knock them in the teeth with the bit.
Yeah. So then how I do it is I grab her right ear and I just push it forward under the bridle while bringing the bridle back. And then I slide my hand under, come to her left ear, pop her little ear through. I lift it up again still. If there's any hair caught, I just push it forward if it's the forelock, and sideways if it's the mane. That way there's just nothing pinching. And then I get my thumbs and I just stick it underneath the brow band and make sure that this is all nice and loose and free, so that we don't get any pinching here or on the pole. So once that part is done for you guys, you need to fit your noseband. You don't want it sitting down here like...
Throat latch first.
Throat latch first, sorry. We'll do throat latch.
That way they can't pull the bridle off.
This is true, sorry, my bad. I'm very naughty at doing things the right way. Throat latch goes on. Now, Millie could go to the top, but what you want is to, no matter what, have at least 4 fingers underneath in here in her gullet, so that they can breathe and feel nice and comfortable. You don't want it up here over her throat, because that's not very nice.
No, it's too tight.
So yeah, so that's the general rule for all throat latches, is to be able to fit your 4 fingers under there. I have small hands, so I can put a thumb. Okay, now that's done up, noseband. So like we said before, if you would put it on like this is too low. Okay, they only breathe out of their nose. If I tighten this up around there, it'd be quite uncomfortable, and it wouldn't really serve its purpose, and it would make her uncomfortable. So you need to sort of wiggle it around and find the right spot. Got to adjust. It's a little bit of a finicky thing, especially if stuff moves around. Sometimes it's the noseband up the top. Sometimes it's just the flash. You need it to sit up.
Basically above this little part here, which is that's where the bone finishes and it starts to be too sensitive, so we want it to sit up above. Good rule is like 2 fingers underneath the protruding cheekbone.
What's going on there? There we go. Okay.
With a lot of our horses, with their bridles that they're coming with, you'll see the marks that we use to tighten them. Some horses need nosebands that are a little bit tighter than the others because of their evasion to the bit. Millie does need a little bit tighter one. Yana's definitely won't be this tight. Bo's isn't this tight. Spud and Bubbles tend to need tighter ones because they like to put their head down. And Mama's is kind of medium tightness.
Yeah.
Then we do the flash. The flash has got to sit in front of the bit. Move your hand. In front of the bit. Okay, this is very important that you don't put it behind the bit. So that's why we never do the nosebands up before we put the bit in the horse's mouth as well. Okay, I don't know how you would do that, but some people manage it. But yeah, make sure that the flash is sitting in front of the in front of the bit.
You can see hers a little bit here. So that's done up, but you can still see that I can still fit 2-3 fingers in there.
Yeah.
So that's as tight as it'll go, but it's still quite comfortable for it.
Yeah.
Just supports that there.
Just make sure you've got no pinching.
Yeah.
We always want the buckles done up above the lip,
Yes.
not below the lip or sitting on top of the lip, because otherwise the skin does pinch and it can be really uncomfortable for them.
So once we do that part, she'll probably take the reins over her head so she's not tied up and hold on to her.
Never, ever, 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 ever tie your horse up by the bridle. It must be tied up in a halter. If your horse pulls back when you've tied it up by the reins to the bridle, it could cut its tongue off, okay? So never, ever, ever tie your horse up by the bridle. If you need to tie your horse up, take the bridle off or put a halter on over the top to tie your horse up, or have someone hold your horse.
And if you have to leave your horse, make sure your reins are either secured to the monkey strap or you can put them under. There's many ways. Do you want me to do
No.
that? No. Okay, that's fine. So now you want to check her girth again. Okay, so say
You can see it's quite loose.
yep, I see. I can fit all my hands in there. She's already taken a big puff of air because she knows what I'm going to do. But we'll just pretend that we're done and we're going to just check it one last time. So you can see it goes up 2 holes. Once I can get it in there. And get it even on the other side, another 2 holes. Get it in there, Millie. There we go. And I always just like to give it a little pull to make sure that there's no pinching of hairs. See that big breath? If I was to get on her now, I'd have to tighten it again when we got to the arena. And then I just tuck in my straps if you've got keepers.
Yeah.
So that's basically how we saddle up the horses. So key points that to keep in mind are obviously that your saddle pad's clean, it's on the right way, it's very pulled up over the wither, nothing's twisted, everything's sitting nice and flat underneath. These aren't folded up underneath or anything like that. That your girth points are even for even pressure. And then when it comes to the bridle, obviously that for the horses that need it snug, you'll see the lines where they go, that we do the throat latch up after we put the bridle on. When we're putting the bridle on, we keep the bridle up so we don't smack the horse in the teeth, and that everything is tucked in nice and secure, and never to tie them up with this. Can't enforce that enough.
Cool.
Do I need to take a bridle off, or we just show the bridle part? Saddle's easy, undo it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
it.
take the bridle
I'll
off.
take the bridle off to show you guys, because it's almost the same thing as hitting them in the teeth thing when you take the bridle off. So
Nosebands first.
oh no, Ben, sorry, my bad. I'm getting distracted while I talk. So first we do the flash. You'll notice that your horse will start moving their mouth around after they've had it on for a ride. That's normal. And then we loosen off the jaw. So with these, if they do feel snug, if you just push the clip into the horse for a second towards their face and pull the strap towards you, it will be easier for you to undo it if it is a snug one. And then it'll slide off. Don't try and be like all gentle about it. It'll take too long. Just push in, pull out. Now that's all undone there, we can undo the throat latch. And you can see now when I take her bridle off, I'm going to put my thumb in and just flick it off her left ear first, but I'm going to keep the bridle up in the air. Still it's still in her mouth. And it's still in her mouth now. But then what I'm going to do is gently lower it and let her mouth work the bit out itself, just like that. If you tried to just drop it out, same thing as Erin said before, it could smack her in the teeth and give her a fright, and it's almost worse when you're taking it off than putting it on as the reaction you'll get. So you want to be nice and gentle, hey? And that's it, guys. That's all you really need to know in regards to saddling and unsaddling your horse. Undo the clips of the girth, tuck everything back in how it was, and all I can say is lift the saddle up off their back.
Don't drag
it. Do not pull it off them because you'll throw their back out.
Yep.
So be gentle.